A beautiful forest, like something out of a picture book. Idyllic scenes with the cutest creatures. Everything just as it should be. Flora and fauna in perfect balance. This pristine, unspoiled environment. But what's this? Naked trees peeling apart? What on earth is attacking our forests? And who can save them? Calling Dr. Woody. Take, if you will, this 100-year-old lowland mixed forest. Viewed from above, it looks fine. But many trees are just skeletons. The animals are leaving. Dead trees litter the forest floor. But help is at hand. And it comes from an unexpected quarter. This is Dr. Great Spotted Woodpecker. Look at his beak and his powerful bill. This is Dr. Earthworm, blind but bold. Then there's Dr. Squirrel, what she does with nuts. And as their leader, Dr. Black Woodpecker. He's Europe's biggest woodpecker. We'll call him Dr. Woody. Because he heads the crack ER team, the Doctors of the Woodlands. Deep in the forest, the treatment begins. A series of holes, 30 centimeters long and 20 centimeters deep, leaving a carpet of shavings on the ground. This is radical surgery by an expert who would rather amputate a limb than let an infection take hold. Because he's not targeting the wood, but the insects within. Beneath the bark, there's an infestation. A high-tech scan shows the damage. And Dog Woody has identified some of the culprits, carpenter ants. Their relentless tunneling has turned the pith into air. Till a puff of wind snaps the tree like balsa. Luckily, Dr. Woody is addicted to these ants. He's the original tree surgeon. And his treatments don't stop there. He also clears the forest of another parasite. the bark beetle. Big as a match head, this is a xylophage. That is, it eats wood, preferably resinous wood, evergreens. To reach the beetles, Dr. Woody developed a remarkably precise procedure. First, he uses his beak to remove the tree's outer covering. There goes the protective layer of bark. Since his beak grows 2 centimeters a month, if he didn't peck like this about 10,000 times a day, each impacting at 20 kilometers an hour, his beak would be longer than its owner. But the real miracle, with each peck the eyelids close just before impact, so his eyeballs don't pop out. The operation continues as the tongue comes into play. The beak enters the pith, and the tongue becomes a sticky probe that extracts the bark beetle larvae. So, far from destroying the trees, Woody is protecting them. And if we follow Dr. Woody on his rounds, we'll see what other members of his team do. But first, let's get back to basics. This is a healthy mixed forest with deciduous and coniferous trees. This combination promotes both resilience and biodiversity. There's also a mix of generations. The elders raise the young trees. Sunlight filters through the many levels, giving everyone enough warmth and shade. Trees grow old and die. Even underground, they play their role in the forest habitat. But wherever you look, forests are under threat. In some places, tree mortality is up 50% in a decade. Here's the thing, though. At the same time, the black woodpecker has thrived. Over the years, it has vastly increased its spread. A century ago, Woody was more of a snow prince. He kept to himself, high in the mountains. But then, in the 1950s, he decided to see more of the world. So the little fellow came down to the lowlands. Now you'll see him basking in beech trees, lolling in lowlands, tapping in treetops. He's everywhere. And a single black woodpecker can look after over 400 hectares of forest. But he doesn't do it on his own. The forest ER also employs his woodpecker cousins. We really should watch how they work. Because all woodpeckers are poster birds of evolutionary adaptation. Each species is a specialist with its very own role. The great spotted woodpecker is most common. It's a generalist with a knack for cracking nuts. It's not to be confused with the lesser spotted woodpecker. This featherweight delicately pecks on high branches and twigs. The green woodpecker spears insects at the edge of the forest. R.I.P. ants and earthworms. Each one does its own thing in its own space and keeps to itself, often in the territory of the black woodpecker. But remember those holes we saw at the beginning? They also serve a second purpose, as homes. And because the black woodpecker is biggest, his holes attract all the other species. The green woodpecker is house hunting. And that annoys the black woodpecker. After all, there's plenty of room elsewhere. And he's happiest on his own. With naked trees, a forest is a sorry sight in winter. All life seems suspended. The patient is in a coma. But why excavate a hole so high up? The row will be heard right across the forest. Seems rather desperate behavior. What exactly is the point? Well, there's another kind of emergency here. With the end of winter approaching, this elemental loner has to satisfy an elementary urge. He's calling for a mate, a twilight serenade. With the forest under anesthetic, that could be wishful thinking. Was that a reply? A female? Here's how you can tell. He struts about with his big red beret. She is identifiable by her cute, heart-shaped triangle. Now she's replied, there are 3 ritual months of circling, testing, and learning to trust. All the while, the couple inspect the black woodpecker's properties, looking for the best accommodation. Off they go. The ideal apartment is at a fine, broad beech tree. At least 5 meters above ground, a smooth, branchless trunk that offers safety and calm. Next comes the examination. Tucked in his hole, the male lightly taps the walls, while the female listens from close by and far away. This resonant ritual proves the prospective property is big and clean. When the female does her own check, she realizes he's cheated a bit. It's an old apartment. He just enlarged it by chucking out a few shavings. Cheeky, but clever. It'll do. Tired of circling? They mate. Finally. That couple went for an older property. Others start from scratch. Like these. A self-build can take up to a month, even with that amazing beak. And look at the support it has. Clamps that keep the bird glued to the tree. A strong, muscular tail to use as a prop. A skull with bumpers to absorb the direct shocks. And a tongue that coils round the brain so the brain doesn't slam into the skull. To show the work is done, he casually tips the last shavings into the void. But he may be the only one who doesn't benefit from these surgical skills. A long list of characters are waiting to move in as squatters. Top of the list? The stock dove. Smaller than the Bizet pigeon on your balcony or window ledge, it sneaks into Woody's apartment as soon as his back is turned. And the others, look out for the starling, the Eurasian nuthatch, the boreal owl, swarms of bees, even hornets. Even a pine marten, the black woodpecker's arch-enemy, will grab his chance. Double trouble for the pecker. The marten wants his home and his eggs, too. By curing the trees and providing accommodation, the black woodpecker is a keystone species for a healthy forest. More than 40 species of squatters can move into the holes he's made. So, a black woodpecker is the best news to perk up a sick forest. In fact, our little loner is a true pillar of society. Look! It's a miracle. The forest awakes, cute little songbirds twirling all over. Life trembling everywhere you look. Is the forest suddenly well again? Hardly. It's just the great carnival we call the spring. Launched by pollinators and their flowers. Not an easy time for Woody. He has to keep his feathers clean and his eyes peeled. You see, the martin's on the prowl, searching for something to eat. But luckily, Dr. Woody has seen him. Just in time to sound the alarm. The martin must wait until dark. And Dr. Woody can return home to brood on 3 eggs his mate laid in April. The parents take it in turns, signaling to each other at the top of their voices to avoid closer contact. It's not surprising, really. Imagine being squeezed into a 20-centimeter hole, glaring at each other, walking on eggs. Literally. Getting out as often as possible, the female only broods 6 hours a day. And while the male looks after the nest, conditions outside are worsening. It's not a pretty sight. Parasites, lying low in winter, now invade the forest. Many trees don't bounce back with the spring. These aren't berries. They've been left behind by parasitic larvae feeding on the leaves. And look at this. In summer, leaves falling like in autumn. What does it mean? Longer days bring more suffering. The heat of the sun stimulates the tree's immune system. Now leaves stop functioning to save water. Sometimes they even fall. The tree is choosing survival over growth. Dr. Woody's too busy to worry about leaves on the forest floor. He defers to an expert in digestive medicine, Lumbricus terrestris, Dr. Earthworm. Unlike Dr. Woody, who has a certain undeniable presence, Dr. Earthworm is very ugly. But if you want to aerate and humify the soil, making ideal conditions for healthy roots, he's your man. There's a whole band of invertebrates in the shadows, dedicated to cleaning up the forest floor. Some love Dr. Woody's wood fragments, some prefer leaves or organic waste. These recyclers feed off remains and produce the richest humus. Dr. Earthworm eats his body weight every day, manufacturing manure on an industrial scale. He's the king of the forest floor with his court of fungi and his army of bacteria. They transform the soil into fertile, nourishing terrains, supporting the network of roots, improving the health of the entire forest. In their different ways, Doctors Woody and Earthworm cooperate for a healthy forest. One speeds the recycling of dead wood, the other composts fertile soil. But the diagnosis remains. The soil lacks nutrients. The root network is fragile. Trees can no longer communicate with one another. The patient is deteriorating fast. And now, we come to the forest's greatest enemy, our own love of order, of planting to exploit. For centuries, we've laid out forests in straight, pretty rows, stiff as a military parade. And then, we cut them down. We may know more about pruning than Dr. Woody, but we're light years away from knowing how to manage complex ecosystems. It's like using a chainsaw for a scalpel. Pure carnage. And now the patient is on the operating table hoping for a miracle cure. Today's monocultures are bad for forests in many ways. They're ugly. And not just that. Those lines of trees, like laboratory clones, mean much less diverse flora and fauna. Where they're cut down, the soil is suddenly exposed to the full heat of the sun. And since there's no root network left to catch the rainwater, it washes out of the soil, taking all the nutrients with it. In theory, there's plenty of forest left to manage. In reality, it's marching to its doom. All right, maybe that's a bit strong. Not every forest is quite so regimented. In this one, for example, there are mixed sections alongside the monocultures. That combination makes them a little less exposed to pathogens. Biodiversity helps keep forests strong. But what about those higher temperatures? Dr. Woody may protect while Dr. Earthworm nourishes. But another forest medic is needed for rebirth. She can be found both on the ground and in the trees. And here she is, Dr. Squirrel. As you might expect, they don't always see eye to eye. In fact, last year, fur and feathers flew. And all because she wanted an apartment he was still using. Looks like he won that time. But the point is, she's not just cute, she's also an expert in zoochory, spreading plant spores. She chucks seeds around like confetti at a wedding. Acorns here, pine cones there. And she famously remembers nearly 3,000 food stores. But we're interested in her failures. Because they make her the forest's head midwife. What she forgets to reclaim lets all sorts of little trees see the light of day. If the soil is good enough, life always returns. And right now, Dr. Squirrel and Dr. Woody have something else in common. In April and May, both of their nests welcome young'uns. Dr. Woody's chicks could hatch any time now, but he and his exhausted partner might sleep through it. Woodpeckers are only active during the day. Night is a time for predators. Not just these owls. This is something much bigger. They're giant bats. Harmless for woodpeckers, unless they fold those half-meter wings into one of Woody's old tree holes. Dr. Noctule targets mosquitoes, cockchafers, small invertebrates, and devours insects that kill trees by eating their leaves and roots. It's dawn. Who who will be up first. The marten isn't wasting any time. Breakfast. And she fancies scrambled eggs. But first, her morning ablutions. Outside the hole, of course. For the forest's feathered parents, that'll be enough to bring on a heart attack. Woody raises the alarm. But where's his partner? Is no one with the eggs? These eggs weren't the woodpeckers, but the stock doves. But pigeons can raise 3 broods in a year. So they get another chance. Ah, life in the wild. Reality TV, all shot on location. Lucky for us, the marten missed Dr. Woody's eggs, because now they've hatched. The head of ER is now very busy on parental leave. And he wouldn't take kindly to being disturbed while he's feeding his babes. Remember Dr. Squirrel? Meanwhile, the forest's arch-enemy has been breeding too. It's those beetles, the bark beetles. They're only a couple of millimeters long, but they can destroy a whole forest. They take over a weakened conifer, dig tunnels beneath the bark, eat the wood, and multiply. A tree's resin will kill a bark beetle if it's on its own. But when they invade in force, then the tree will be gnawed to death. In a healthy forest, bark beetles actually balance the ecosystem by boosting the tree's immune response. Trees that don't survive enrich the soil by decomposing. So these beasties belong. But right now, everything's going off the rails. Bark beetles reproduce when the temperature exceeds 15 degrees. See the problem? In spring, a colony takes 6 weeks to breed. In summer, that comes down to 4 weeks. And with climate change, spring comes earlier, summers are hotter. Do the math. Instead of 1 generation a year, bark beetles can produce 3. More reproductive cycles, more bark beetles, multiples of multiples. With the inevitable result. Trees face attacks from every side. Droughts cause water stress, poor nutrition from the soil, fire and storm damage. And whole areas are clear-cut. When you factor in wholesale exploitation and global warming, bark beetles are the coup de grace. But this is where Dr. Woody comes in again. Just when the beetles are reproducing fastest is when he needs most food for his young. So he and his mate make 20 trips a day. They have to bring each of their voracious chicks 100 grams of insects. That would be 20 kilos for a human baby. It keeps them busy. As they inject bark beetles and larvae straight down the chicks' throats. Never forgetting basic hygiene, they eject the droppings. Another form of forest fertilizer. But don't get too complacent. Our patient isn't out of the woods yet. What's happening now? More human destruction? Dr. Woody's surgical skills are powerless here. Has he come to survey the damage? To cut down Woody's tree? But what's he doing? Why is he marking the tree? Is it some strange cult? Better check the young. Should they get ready to move? Is the beech tree condemned? No, it's protected, reserved for biodiversity. This is a new approach, gentle forestry. It keeps healthy trees along with all their inhabitants to help the forest recover and thrive. And it clears dead trees. Just protecting the best. Trees that need time to grow. Woody's beech tree is a fine example. To reach the prime of life, it'll need another 100 years. But the truth is, Dr. Woody might love to live in a beech forest, but our medical miracle worker has to settle for monocultures ravaged by bark beetles and ants. The elusive combination of hardwood and a resinous evergreen forest, that would be perfect. But woodies can live everywhere. That's why they are everywhere. And with their food increasing exponentially, they aren't going to disappear anytime soon. It's May, and they're 6 weeks old. For 10 days now, they've been able to poke their heads out to claim their daily morsel. And they don't let up. They could get annoying, especially for their parents, who've been serving them non-stop. Some drastic action is needed. How can they tempt them out of the nest? How about starving them for hours at a time? Dr. and Mrs. Woody can be quite tough. They demonstrate takeoff. They taunt and they call. Anything to throw them off balance. With just one aim. To get them to take that leap into the void. And finally quit the nest. But all this row wakes the martin. Martins aren't really nasty and cruel. What does that even mean? Of course they eat everything. They have to feed their young too. In fact, in the final analysis, the forest ecosystem just about still works. The links of the chain hold together, and at the end there are predators just as there should be. And Woody is part of it. You see, adult black woodpeckers have few enemies. They have a long life and plenty of young. It's a success story. So why not accentuate the positive? If not for the forests, at least for this one species. Dr. Woody will soon be free of his young. They'll fly away at last. Traumatized by their parents, those future little solo Dr. Woodies find the courage to go out into the world. There goes the first. And then the others pluck up courage. Go on. And so they disappear into the forest. Actually, they're not quite as easy to spot as we made out. But you'll know when they're there. You'll hear if they're building, signaling, courting, or operating. Each Doc Woody claims their own territory. And just occasionally one will still fly through the pale spaces between the trees. In truth, though, Dr. Woody plays only a small part in healing the forests. Their well-being depends more on what we do than what a bird does. But that doesn't mean we want him to stop. You do your best, don't you, Woody? Woody?